It's on your fashion mentor by Archana Nagpal, and you can see that the sunny day outside. And yes, आज सब लोग बारिश का मौसम का मजा ले रहे हैं, और उसके साथ साथ स्टिल अगर आपके पास बाहर सनलाइट नहीं है, so we have sunshine today, that is Archana Nagpal ji again for the portfolio development. So you can just गेस दैट कि आज का इंपॉर्टेंट कितना रहेगा कि आप पोर्टफोलियो कैसे डेवलप कर सकते हो खुद का. आपने करियर तो अचीव कर लिया है, बट आपका पोर्टफोलियो जब तक नहीं बनेगा तब तक इसका इंपॉर्टेंस या इसका नॉलेज आप शेयर नहीं कर सकते हो. सो आई वेलकम अर्चना जी फॉर टुडे सेशंस ऑन द पोर्टफोलियो. थैंक यू.
Thank you. Hello, good morning, everybody. I'm happy the sun is shining bright in Pune. It's been a very, very wet morning, a very dull morning in Mumbai. It has been pouring non-stop since yesterday. But such is the delight of having an online portal where we can connect no matter how much traffic is there on the road or no matter what the weather is. We can still be connected thanks to the technology that we have, where the distance does not really matter and the weather does not really matter. So welcome each and everybody for today's webinar, which is all about portfolio design and development. What do you really understand by portfolio design and development? Is that it is a collection of your work, of your academic work, which you have built through your 2 years or your 3 years of academics. I will be definitely getting into the details along with presentations and showcasing some of my students' work. But a very brief introduction as to what I have been doing for all those who were not present yesterday. I am a NIFT, I'm from NIFT Mumbai. I'm a graduate in fashion, graduated in 1998. And have had the opportunity to work as a fashion faculty for the last 24 years now. And fashion portfolio and design process are my core subjects, which I have been teaching for almost more than 2 decades now. So I'm going to give you a little insight as to how important a portfolio is for a fashion designer, for any kind of a designer, and how well it needs to be presented. So allow me to share my screen. This I want definitely to be a very, very interactive session. Kindly feel free to pop up your questions if you have anything to ask during and in between my presentation. I would be very happy to take up your queries and give the answer to that. So please feel free to leave your questions in the chat box and I'll be happy to take up your questions. Allow me to share my screen at the moment. Can somebody please confirm if you can see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. So portfolio design and development, this webinar has been specially designed for IDL and INIFD Deccan. Thank you very much for this opportunity given and the platform offered. I'm honored and I'm glad to be here. Okay, so what is a fashion portfolio? A fashion portfolio is a collection of all the designs and projects created by a fashion designer. It is a way to present the collection of works to a potential client. It is a type of design portfolio. It is a collection of samples, illustrations, fabric, swatches, etc., put together by a designer to show his or her skills to a prospective employer. So this is the key element when you need to, when you are seeking a job, when you are going for an interview, carrying a portfolio is a must, whether a physical portfolio in the form of a book or as a digital portfolio on your laptop or on any other portal is a must. You cannot definitely go for an interview without just by yourself without having a copy of your work. The fundamental aspect of a design portfolio is to ensure that you as a designer are fully aware of the current trends, making it relevant to today's world. So it's very, very important to be updated about the fashion business around the world. You need to display to an employer that you understand fashion for the current market. Very important. You need to be updated. For that, you need to be aware. You need to be reading a lot about the fashion news all across the globe and domestically. Now, this roughly is a layout which I personally work with, and I guide all my students for the same. You may find this a little complicated at the moment, but by the end of the session, you will certainly know as to what this is all about. So portfolio, an ideal portfolio can range between 20 spreads. So each rectangle that you see here is one spread. So like that, you need minimum 20 spreads, maximum 40 spreads. This I'm talking per se if you have to apply for a job. Right? If you're going to a particular company, which say, for example, specializes only in women's Western wear. So for a portfolio like that, for a client like that, you need a portfolio which does not have any menswear or any kids wear in the project, in the portfolio. Your student's portfolio, when you graduate after your 2 years diploma or your 3 years degree, you need to showcase anything and everything that you have studied over the past 2 years or 3 years of your course. Very important that you show a very versatile portfolio where the employer or where the recruiter knows that, okay, he or she is capable of designing women's wear, Western, ethnic, menswear, Western, ethnic, sportswear, lingerie, kids wear, uniforms, and so on. So you need to show that versatility. But also at the same time, you need to show your particular style of design. That has to come across. Your personality will speak from your portfolio. Your style of design will speak through your portfolio. So even if you're not across the table and if your portfolio is lying on somebody's table, it should be a self-explanatory portfolio, which should express that this particular designer is a pro at developing embroideries, or he or she is excellent with developing prints, digital prints or block prints or screen prints or any kind of prints. So your personality will definitely reflect as soon as your portfolio has been viewed. So keep that in mind. Do not mix too many elements which are not really needed. Do not clutter up your portfolio. Okay, so here I'm just going very briefly onto this layout. At the end of the presentation, I'm going to come back to this page so that your understanding will be much more clearer. So we begin with the cover page. Then comes your design philosophy. Your design philosophy is mainly what you feel about design. How do you perceive design in your system? What is it that energizes you to design? I am not talking about fashion. You will not speak so much about fashion in your design philosophy. It is not the fashion philosophy. There's a very thin line. There's a difference. You need to discuss about your design philosophy. So you can either script a beautiful poem. You can script. It should not be more than a paragraph. Many times, some writers can write so well that just 2 sentences expresses it all for their philosophy. So that is fine as well. If you're taking a quotation from somebody known, you need to give credits to that writer. If you're taking a poem written by somebody else, you certainly need to write the name of the poet. So give credits to any kind of script that you are borrowing for your design philosophy. So you write your poem. Underneath that, you will analyze that poem and give me your own analysis to that and your own analysis to your design philosophy. At the end, you will sign your name off. On the cover page, I'm just going back. On the cover page will be your name, very neatly, nicely written, a very crisp format. Underneath that, you will certainly write your institution's name from where you have graduated and your academic years. If it's a 2-year course, then you need to write 2019 to 21. If you're from a 3-year course, and so on. So your date of commence and your day of completion, the year needs to be mentioned. And of course, the location of your institution. Very important. Then we begin the portfolio with the major project. Okay, now what all goes into a major project? Here I have given, I've highlighted the points which are absolutely required into that particular project, and you can multiply these projects as many as you can. So major project will have your storyboard. A storyboard is what? A storyboard is everything related to that particular theme that you have chosen. I am going to be showing you examples of all these boards which I'm talking about. After storyboard comes your research board. Your research has to be very solid. It has to be very deep. When you're doing this as a class project, you will be submitting a separate research book along with your project. But you're in the portfolio, you have the restriction of having it only on one spread. So you need to mark it down, you need to edit it and re-edit it, and there is no space for any plagiarism. You will have to, even if your research is a secondary research, you need to edit it and put your own words and format into it. Anything which has been picked up from the internet or from Wikipedia, copy pasted, has no room for appreciation. So keep this in mind. Take help from people who are good with script writing or who are good with the language. You can certainly take help, but do not copy paste from Google or Wikipedia. After the research board will have your research analysis along with images. After your research board comes your mood board. Mood board is basically will be having images from your storyboard, and you will be adding certain fashion images along with the mood, along with the pictures from the storyboard. This will also derive your textures, your color palette, and your silhouette. So the fashion images which you choose in the mood board will certainly give you the direction of the silhouette, what your storyboard is expressing. Your color palette is very important, will have the place on the mood board. So make this absolutely mandatory that your storyboard will not have the color palette, but your mood board will have the color palette. So your mood board will express your colors, your silhouettes, your textures, and embellishment, if any. After the mood board comes the design brief or the analysis. So what do you derive from this research, from this particular theme, from this mood board? You have to make a script out of it. So there'll be a one-page write-up where you will be highlighting the main points. Okay, your main points of inspiration will be in your design brief and analysis. The page after that will have your print or embellishment development. So now you need to understand when you're designing a collection, you need to either have a print development or embellishment development or a texture development. Many times there are many designers who want to club the two, whether you want to do embellishment on a developed print or a texture developed on a print, or a mix and match of all these elements. So that is absolutely fine. So your development of the embellishment or the print has to be showcased on that page. After that comes your fabric or your swatch board. Very, very, very important. Without knowing what materials you're actually using, a collection has no meaning. Just a visual collection or a virtual collection which has no completion to it with the actual swatches, you need that to support your design. So that is your fabric and your swatch board. Make sure that your fabric and your swatch board has neat cutouts. Either you can do a physical cutout of the swatches when you are having a printed book, or if you're showing it digitally, then you need to click or scan the fabric really well, so that you can get a good picture quality for your swatch board. Your swatches will be supported by the source, where it has been sourced from, the store or the shop or the factory or whatever, weavers of any kind, if at all, the width of the fabric, the fiber content, and the price of the fabric. So that is important as well. Then comes your design development. Then comes your design development, that is how you process your designs. Then comes your then comes your design brief, and then comes your design development. After that comes your final collection of your illustrations, and the last page of your first major project is the photo shoot. Now, when you take a photo shoot of the garment which you have tailored yourself or which you have pattern made yourself, you need to certainly show the front, back, and the profile, and a close-up of any kind of texture or print that you may have developed. So it will be just a one-page photo shoot spread, where you will have pictures of the front of the garment, the back of the garment, the side of the garment, and a close-up of maybe a detail which is there on the collar, or maybe the placket or the cuff, or any kind of embroidery or a patch pocket. You need to showcase these in more detail. So this is as far as the major project goes. We continue into a mini project. Then comes the mini project. So you begin your portfolio with your best project, that is the major project, which will have about 8 to 9 spreads or 8 to 10 spreads as you wish to do. If you want to remove certain elements, you can, but there should be at least 2 major projects in your entire portfolio. Mini project will have your page 1, which will have you will have to start compressing it. You cannot be having so many elaborate pages just dedicated to one particular project. It gets too much. You need to understand that the employer or the recruiter does not have that much time to go through 69, 70 pages or spreads of a single student's portfolio. It has to be very brief. It has to be to the point. This I'm talking about when you have to multiply this. This is mainly for your students' portfolio. So your mini project will have your storyboard, it will have your research board together on page 1. Next page will have your mood board and your design analysis. So your design analysis is basically what has inspired you, what are the fashion elements that you have used, what are the silhouettes you have used, what are the fabrics that has been used, any kind of surface technique which has been used has to be elaborated and scripted into this page. Then comes your print and embroidery development, plus your swatch board. So you have to again club the two. I will be showing you samples of such presentations. Then comes your design development. Design development cannot be missed even for a mini project. It is very important. It's true if you may have designed about say 20 to 30 garments or ensembles, and you are selecting the best 5 from that, and you are making a final collection of that particular design development. So you design your 5, you illustrate your 5 garments, 5 ensembles, which can be a mixed bag of even menswear and women's wear, choice is yours, which is then followed by the photo shoot. Very important to show the photo shoot of your major and mini projects, because that adds a lot of value to your portfolio. It's always nice to show a project starting from an idea till the end, till it becomes a product. The entire journey has to be shown. Many projects can be stopped only at the illustration stage. This can happen in your micro projects or your fillers is what I'm coming to that. After the photo shoot, then you can come up with another smaller project, which is going to be a micro project. Micro project will just be of 2 pages. Your mini project has about 4, 5, 6 spreads, and your micro will have just 2 pages. So that will have your mood board. We skip the storyboard, we skip the research. We just do the mood board and the design analysis, and followed by you can skip your design development as well. You can straight away show your final collection, either illustration at the illustration stage, or if you have made the garments, then you straight away show the photo shoots. So, during your entire the educative 3 years, there may have been smaller projects where you have not really taken the whole lengthy process of researching and doing it. Maybe just be one of the projects where you have been given a theme and make a design out of it. So you can showcase that as your micro project. Fillers. Now, what are fillers? Many people are very, very confused as to what fillers are. So fillers are a stand-alone, a single page presentation, which can be a garment or cannot be a garment. So it can be the accessories which you design, it can be the footwear which you design, it can be a fashion makeup page, it can be just your random illustration. If somebody is really good with charcoal paintings or somebody is really good with oil paintings, you can showcase your side of art. You can even do something which is out of your college curriculum. If there is a hobby which you are really involved in, it could be some ceramics, or it could be some making of some glassware, or it could be a bottle painting, or anything which is creative and which is artistic as a base can be introduced. Or it could even be any freelance work that you do that can also find place into your portfolio. Supposing there is somebody who has modeled for somebody, or if somebody is a model, if you want to insert some photo shoots of your own self, shooting for any other fashion brand or a fashion company, you can certainly put that in your portfolio. Also, you can put in projects like maybe in your in the first 2 terms when you're doing a foundation, there are many assignments where you are involved a lot into making the prints or making the really fine designs which you do for your elements of design and principles of design, and you may have come up with a beautiful artwork. So that artwork can be transformed into a fashion garment. So you can show a little swatch of the print and you can just illustrate one particular garment out of that. So that becomes a 1-page project, that becomes a filler. So that kind of breaks the monotony of a very large project. Before a new project starts, you can insert this in between 2 projects. Never place a major project after a major project. You need to space out your portfolio. Then comes you end with your final graduation collection. The most important stage of any student's life, that is the hard work of your 3 years or 2 years, which you put into your college, which you put into your academics. Towards the end, your last term is usually what I understand is the time given for you to prepare yourself for your graduation collection. So that again will be a major collection, that will be a major project which will be spread over 8 to 10 sheets. Same goes as the major project. And your last project, last page will be your resume or your CV with a nice and neat, crisp photograph of yours, not an Instagram profile picture or a WhatsApp profile picture. Please get yourself clicked nicely in a studio or somebody professional. So this is more or less the layout. You can multiply your mini projects, you can multiply your major project depending upon how much content you have to show, right? So that is how you will plan your entire portfolio. I have a question coming up. Let me take that. Can you give us an example? Yes, I am going to be showing you a lot of design philosophy. I can also narrate my design philosophy, which I have scripted myself when I was a student and graduated. How to choose one major project for portfolio out of 4-5 projects? I'm confused. That is what Shivani is asking. So your major project will be your best projects of your academic year, where you have researched really well, you have constructed the garment really well, and the outcome is very, very impressive as per your jury and the mentors that you have. So you can definitely choose that as your major project and elaborate. So any project which has the idea till the the end product becomes your major project, which should ideally have every detail which I have shared out here. Let's come to the next one. Okay, so now I am going to put a little more emphasis as to what a design project should have. Like I said, इसको storyboard कहते हैं, इसको color board कहते हैं. There may be people who may not have the exact idea as to what a mood board is, how different is it from the storyboard. So I've given a glimpse of each one of these. So this is the design process and development. Okay, so now all about the design process. Design process is the most important phase of a designer's life. When you are planning a collection, when you're planning a season, you have to go through this entire rut of getting all these points in place. So your first category is your inspiration. Obviously, we cannot work without an inspiration. Then an inspiration is a must. You decide what is the theme that you want to work with. Then you research and you develop. Your research has to be a very well detailed research. Like I said, do not copy paste from Google. As it is, we are in a world and we are at a stage where we only depend upon the secondary research method. Now, what is secondary research method? What we do online, what we do on the systems out here. The primary research development is when we actually go to the library, when we actually visit the craftsmen, when we actually visit the site of our inspiration, and where we make the notes and we come up with our entire research. So that is the primary research method. What we are doing nowadays, out of choice or no choice, I really don't know whether it is a blessing or it is a curse, because the access is definitely very easy. But what I see that people are, the more information which you get at free of cost, the less serious are you about reading the entire script, editing it, understanding it. Many times I've had students who are simply copy pasting where they themselves have not read their script. So we do not want to be in a situation like that where we don't know what our collection is based on. So your research is your stage one, where you cannot go wrong. You have to understand and you have to know. Say, for example, if your inspiration has been some monument or some architectural wonder, you obviously need to know who the architect was, when was it built, how was it built, how long did it take for this entire project to come up, and so on. What is the significance of that place? You need to know all of it at the back of your hand. ऐसा नहीं कि when the faculty or the recruiter is asking, अच्छा, so tell me more about it, that okay, मैं पढ़ के बताता हूँ. नहीं, that is not you should know your research. You should know your theme at the back of your hand. You need to know that and need to be very confident about it. After the research board, we have the storyboard. Then comes your mood board, color board, textures, embellishments, swatch board, your design development, range development, your sample garments. After your entire process of designing is done, you will definitely come up with the sample making of the collection. So without samples, you will directly never jump to making the final garments, which will either hit the store or which will have to be given to your client. So you have to make the stage of sample making is very crucial. You need to make sure that your fit is right. You need to understand that, okay, this fabric is behaving like this and this is not how I expected it to behave. Then you make your certain changes at this particular stage. Then comes your final collection, which is followed by a good photo shoot by a good photographer. And finally, it's either a presentation to your client or then you have your showcasing on the runway or a fashion show. Arya asked, can you explain the storyboard again? Yes, I'm coming to the storyboard. I'm going to be showing you samples and many of my students' work. Before that, I can just narrate what my design philosophy is. So my philosophy goes like, believe in yourself is what I believe in, because it is me who knows what is hidden in the deep resources of my mind, body, and soul. Design to me is simplicity, which is enhanced by that little something called your identity. So this is something which I had scripted when I graduated in 98, and this is a philosophy which I still stick to and I still very much believe in. So something like this, very brief. If it is original, if it is coming from you, it has its own charm. If you are taking reference from any other poet's work or any other writer's work, you need to give credit to the writer. How can I check if my research information is correct if two platforms have different information? You need to research more. You need to then, if you are not trusting your source of research, you need to definitely then reach out to a reputed library or books which have, with the printed books is what your reference point would be. You can go to institutes which has very nice libraries where you can access your entry through your college identity card and access an entry to such places. That's the only way. And of course, you will be having your mentors, your in-house mentors, who would be guiding you with your research. So I hope that answers your question. Can I move on to the next? Okay. So this, now where people say, what should I get inspired with? What should my theme be? So this is a very broad category of themes and inspiration, which I thought covers most of the ideas or most of the topics that one can think of. These are just the pointers. Now, what goes into each of these is totally upon your curiosity and how inquisitive you are. So when I say ancient monuments, you need to know. Now there may be 5,000 places which I don't know about, so you cannot expect your mentor or your teacher to give you a theme. A theme is a very, very personal choice. The student or the designer has to come up with a theme of their own choice. These are the broad categories: ancient monuments, futuristic architecture, aquatic life, the universe, tribal craft, elements of nature, technology, wildlife, famous personalities, sports, films, Indian history, world history, exotic destinations, and many more. So this is a very, very broad category. You can certainly make a note of this and come up with any theme of your choice. I'm very happy to address to your queries even after the session. If you need to reach out to me, please ping me on the Instagram. Please message me on Instagram. I will be very happy to guide you if you need the help. So these are the broad categories. Okay, so now this is a storyboard. My season, which I'm working with, is autumn winter 22-23. So very important that your design projects has a season, a predicted season or a previous season. Usually it is the trending season or the season coming up. Never will you produce your fresh projects with a season which has gone by. But if you, as a student, if you have worked over a particular year where you have taken reference from, say, autumn winter 2019 or 20, it is all right to show that season in your portfolio, because this work is of your 2 years ago and you're refining your work, but you're representing your work. But your theme and everything will stay as per whatever your original inspiration was and your original season inspiration was. So my inspiration out here, which I'm showing here, is a leaf, an old leaf, or a leaf which sheds itself. Right? Autumn is actually my theme, and where the leaves actually, the trees let go of their leaves and the fresh leaves come then after. So this is my storyboard. Storyboard will have pictures which are directly related to your theme. It will have nothing to do with the color palette. It will have got nothing to do with any kind of fashion images. What follows after this is your mood board. So your mood board, like I said, will have an image or two from your storyboard. It will be a carry forward. You give a name to your collection on your mood board. This is how it should be shown, very neat and clean. You can make collage. You need to have your Photoshop skills in place, or any particular app which you can use to make your collages. There are very, very user-friendly apps like PixArt, which you can use very, very happily. And it's very easy to use these apps, where you can make a collage. When you're downloading images from Google, make sure that you're downloading high resolution pictures. That will give you good quality of pictures, and then if at all you are printing your projects, the images should not pixelate, right? So in that case, your primary selection of the images should be of the high resolution only. So here I have shown the image from the previous board, which is my storyboard. This is a fashion garment which I think is adapted and which is the kind of silhouette which I would want to work with. These are the organic fabrics which I would like to work with, and the eco-friendly dyeing method, the leaf printing dyeing method is what I want to work with. So this is giving me a print direction. It is giving me a texture direction. It is definitely giving me my colors and the silhouette. So 4 important things should be expressed from your mood board. Collection's name, again, very important. Now, this is the color palette which I have derived from this mood board. It is a very earthy color story. Most important factor when you're showing your color palette is an identity to the color. I explained what Pantone numbers are yesterday. So you can either give the Pantone number by researching it online. You will get these color palettes readily available, very easy. Again, it's a very easy method nowadays, unlike what it was when we were students, where we actually had to go and buy the Pantone color chips, paid an X amount for each color that we picked up to put it on our mood boards and physically stick it, because everything was handmade those days. There was nothing digital that we could do. Yes, there was, but at the printouts and compilation and sitting with with an AutoCAD artist costed us a lot of money. So we rather prefer to go get printouts, cut it, and paste it on our papers or the mount boards that we had. So you either give the Pantone numbers or a color identification or descriptive colors. You can even give descriptive colors. Like this can be a chocolate brown, it can be a sand brown, or a sunny yellow, or olive green. So these are the descriptive words which we as designers have the license to describe it the way we want. We can even come up with our own names for the colors. This is the embellishment board, which gives, this is my student's work, my existing student who has recently graduated. This is Ms. Shreya Chaudhary's work, which I have clubbed and come up with a presentation. So this gives me my embellishment direction, the print direction, and what I really want to do with that collection. What are the features? What are the fashion elements that I want to work with for my design collection? So this will show you the pressed flower printing or some kind of an applique work, the ruffles which are there, and so on. This is the fabric board or the swatch board. Like I said, very important to show the fabric, of course, along with its detail as to how, what is the width of the fabric, or where it has been sourced from, the content of the fabric, and the name of the fabric. Very, very important. It needs to be a self-explanatory board. One should not wonder that where this fabric has been sourced from, or what is the content of it, and how much it might be costing. So you need to give the actual cost and the actual source of your fabrics. This is the collection, the final collection based on that particular theme, the women's wear, party wear collection. This is another inspiration. Again, my students' work, where the inspiration, this project belongs to Miss Nitisha. This project is all about the inspiration which has been acquired from the dragon fruit. Okay, so this particular fruit has been shown as a sample fruit, and this is a mood board. So this can go as a mini project where you're not showing everything in detail, but still showing the needful, so that the whole project together makes sense. So these are the colors derived from it. That's the dragon fruit. There are certain fashion images, and coming up with a particular name, they've named it as that cute stuff. So that has the color palette. This is how the Pantone numbers look like. You very easily, you can get this from Google. This is a swatch board for the dragon fruit, for that cute stuff. Again, you can see how beautifully the swatches have been represented, not the typical windows. Here she has put it up on the croquis, folded in a certain manner, and she's taken a beautiful scan of the entire presentation and given each and every detail for that particular fabric swatch, which is going to be used for, these are approved swatches. The entire stage where a student or the designer has collected n number of fabric swatches. You sit with your entire collection and then you pick and choose. So you need to have that wide variety of choice. So when we are showcasing our swatch board in a portfolio, you will definitely have only the selected fabric swatches, not the entire ocean of fabrics which you have sourced from. Any questions, please come up with. I'll be happy to take them up. This is the print development. The student of mine is a pro at developing beautiful digital prints. So these are the prints which were developed while she was doing a design process with me. So many prints were developed and only 2 or 3 were chosen, finally chosen. That's the embroidery development along with the print. Like I said, many times people may choose to work with 2 techniques, print and an embroidery, or print and a texture, or print just by itself, or embroidery just by itself. The choice is completely upon the student and his or her style of working. So this, now when you're showing your embellishment or your embroidery development, again, a very neat image, a good, decent layout. Along with that comes your description as to what that embroidery is all about, what are the materials that are used in that, because we do not want our client or our recruiter to feel confused that ye kiya kaise hai, so you need to give the information. It's all right to give information. It's your portfolio, it's your work, which you want it to be self-explanatory. If by chance you're not even there across the table to talk about your work, so do not have any apprehensions as to, oh, why should I give my entire technique of developing this embroidery? There's no rocket science. Anybody can copy this and anybody can develop this. But what you are doing is you're confidently showing that this is the development which I have made for my embroideries on these particular fabrics with these particular methods. This is a design development. Like I said, we work with many designs before we come up with a collection of 5 or 6 garments, which will be finally made for the ramp or which will be finally there for the presentation. So that's the women's wear. Front and back has been shown here beautifully. The menswear, these are all flat drawings or the technical drawings, which are mostly done on the computer. People who are not comfortable working on any kind of software, you can definitely achieve this by hand-drawn sketches. If you're making hand-drawn sketches, you need to definitely make sure that they are identical, they're symmetrical from the center line. Each and every detail has to be micro-tipped well, and the proportions have to be correct. Right, so you can take a clean picture or you can take a clean scan, get it scanned and then get it reprinted, because everything else needs to be digitally printed, like your fonts, etc. You cannot be handwriting on your portfolio. So that is this particular presentation. I'm going to share another. I would like to take up some questions, if any. Any questions, any curiosity to know? How can I blend 2 themes? You can very well blend 2 themes. Like I said, it completely depends upon the designer's caliber, how to blend the 2 themes. But I would advise, don't go into too many contrasting themes. Say, for example, architecture, if you like a particular structure, which is, say, for example, mosaic, or it has glass carvings, or it has carvings of any kind, you need to try and match it up to some aquatic creature or the aquatic marine life, where again the color story is quite similar. Yeah, so then you can blend the 2, but don't take 2 very different contrasting period wise or construction wise and the appeal wise, the aesthetic wise. There needs to be certain common platform where you can where you should have the ability to merge the 2. You can certainly do that, but do not make it as 2 very, very contrasting elements. Like, for example, somebody I remember had worked with the concept of a particular goddess and the 5 elements of nature. So that was beautifully merged. So that these are 2 concepts which can be merged very well. Few other important things when you're making your portfolio is the orientation of your portfolio. So if your portfolio is a portrait format, make sure that it is portrait throughout. Portrait is the vertical format. Make sure right from the page 1 till the last page, it is portrait. If you're working with a landscape format, you have to work with landscape throughout your portfolio. Your choice of font, you need to have one particular font only. no ways that you can mix your font throughout your portfolio. Whatever font you are using, you can make it bold, you can make it light, however you want it, but the font style will be same. The font size for your titles will be same. The font size for your subtitles will be same. The font size for your script, for your brief, your design analysis will be same throughout your portfolio. You cannot deviate. Color you can change if you like, if your particular project demands a particular color in the font, that is fine. But do not change the font size. We don't want at the end of it like a big hodgepodge, because the eye appeal definitely matters. The way you're going through the entire portfolio, that little stability and that little continuity is required. Yes, versatility can be shown in your designs, in your projects, and so on. But these are few mandatory things which will help you get a very crisp portfolio by the end of it. Okay, so we have some more questions before I move on. Sneha, I hope I have answered your question. Which is your favorite theme? Okay, my favorite themes will come to it later. It's not about me. It's all about the students' work and how well you can come up with your work. I will come to it a little later. Okay, so let me share again. Okay, so I am going to show you another student's work. This is a very elaborate and a complete portfolio. It runs into 70 spreads, but it has everything that I have spoken about. Is my screen visible well? Can somebody please confirm?
Right now, we're seeing the final PPT. Yeah.
Fine. Can you see a design portfolio by Suhail Khan?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, just give me a moment. Is it visible now? Design portfolio by Suhail Khan, a black screen.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So this portfolio, Suhail Khan has taught the portfolio module with me currently from INIFD and Devi. I would like to showcase, I would like to share his work. So this is the cover page, like I spoke about, which should have the design portfolio mentioned, the course which you have done, fashion design, your name and your institution's name, along with the academic year. This is the design philosophy. So your design philosophy can always be supported by an inspirational image. This is the philosophy which he believes in. I will not go into detail, but this is what he has scripted, where every thing which exists has its own charm, is what he believes in. So a beautiful image is a must, which can be either something which you have clicked, or whether you have taken it from the internet or a magazine or a book, that is fine. What you relate to most with your philosophy. Okay, so this is one of his very good projects, where the inspiration was from the web series Dynasty. The season has been mentioned, the collection name is, this was his entry to the Lakme Fashion Week project that he worked. This is the mood board with the color palette, the fashion images, which gives a silhouette direction, color direction, texture direction. That's the fabric board or the swatch board, very neatly shown with all the details about the fabrics, any kind of embellishment which is there. This is a this is a storyboard along with the design analysis. So it's all right to club any two categories as long as the information has been shown. So storyboard will have direct pictures of your particular theme. That's the final collection which he has come up with. Illustrations. This is his freelance project where he has worked, where he has designed the entire look and handmade the accessories. These are the different looks for a particular client, is what he has contributed to. So there will be a 2-line description at the end of it, which describes what this project is all about. There's an introduction to the next project where the inspiration was Hema Malini from the Bollywood 70s era. Mood board, which has the personality, which has the color palette, the season, and the entire mood of creating a collection. That's the storyboard along with the design analysis. Design development, which will show clearly the flat or the technical sketches. You need to give a style number to each of the sketch which you have made here. And these are the 4 final garments which he has chosen, or which were rather chosen, out of which 1 garment was made, and that is the photo shoot, the front and the back and the profile of the garment. The next is a small project called the Black Cowl Dress, which was made as one of the sewing projects in the college as the garment, and there's a little brief along with the photo shoot. Courtesy can be given to the model, the person who has modeled the fashion, the makeup and the accessories, and so on. This is a lingerie wear. Mood board, which talks about the mood of the theme. Season, very important. These are the design development, the flat sketches of the designs which was curated. The final collection. And apparently the garment is still in the making and the photo shoot is awaited. Next project is called Metamorphosis, which is architectural based. The little brief is very much needed on all your projects. That's the garment, various angles, various profiles. Next is an Indian wear, an ethnic wear collection. Mood board, which the theme is the wine and the wedding. So again, two kind of concepts which are merged beautifully well here, which has its own gorgeous color story. That's the storyboard. The storyboard will have all the direct images from the theme that has been selected. Design development. You can see how beautifully we have given the background to each project, but at the same time, if you can notice that the font is same, the font size is same, the techniques are same, the orientation is the same. What changes is your content as a designer. That's the final collection. Illustration. Okay, that's another project. Garment which was made, a draped garment, beautifully modeled out here. Okay, so now you can even have projects like these where you can actually hypothetically imagine yourself working for a particular brand of your choice or any brand which you have been in awe of. What would you do if you were hired as a designer for that particular brand? How would you design for this particular brand? So that was the intention of this project. So he has done a collab with Diesel and Dior. This was a hypothetical project, hence he has collabed 2 different brands. That's the collection which was designed and curated. So this was a micro project, just a 2-page project, mood board and the final collection. And there's a fusion collection. This is a project where they had to design women's wear blouses, women's wear shirts, and they had to club with any of the ethnic embroideries, any of the Indian ethnic embroidery. So we had chosen the Rajasthani work. These are the design development, or we call it as DDs. The final illustration, the collection. These are the motif development for the embroidery which was developed. And that's the garment which was finally made. Next is Azure. This is a kids' wear project. So everything to do with Azure as the element, the dyeing element. As the kids' wear. Now these are hand-drawn sketches which has been nicely scanned and reprinted. Okay, so the background is added digitally, but the sketches are hand-drawn. So which you can do, you can club both the techniques, where you can scan your hand-drawn sketches and then enhance it digitally by giving a nice background and stuff. Neil, that's a women's wear ethnic collection again. That's the mood board. The color board, like I said, the color palette out here does not have the Pantone numbers. So in such case, you can give your own names to your colors. Design development and the final collection, rendered beautifully. This is all about the brand. We also work with branding, creating your own brand name and the artwork and the digitalization of the entire project. It's a virtual project where a little brief about your own brand has been expressed out here. The brand is called Wastler, and then under the brand Wastler is a collection which he has called as Bro Code. How would your main label look? The artwork of everything has been shown here. So this is again a virtual project. Certain things can be actually made once you launch your own label. So you have everything ready out here on the platter. That's how we work. This is a filler. Like I said, if you have your own strengths of doing any kind of artwork on your own, you can definitely elaborate on it. So he does a lot of string art. The images which you see on the left is the actual string art. And we have designed an avant-garde outfit based on getting inspired from his own artwork. So that holds a lot of importance because that shows another dimension to your creativity. Indigo Light, this was a graduate, this was a second year project. The fabric board, design development, final collection. This is his third year final collection, the graduation collection. That's the mood board, the design development, menswear. Style numbers are a must. Front and back of the sketch is a must. The motif development, give a style number to all your motif developments as well. The swatch development, what kind of embroideries has been done, if there's any kind of screen printing which was done or embroidery on a print that was done. So all the details have to be mentioned. The final illustration of the women's wear collection. And that's the garment which was finally made for the presentation. Set of 2 garments were made. And that's the CV. This is another graduation collection by my final year student, Shreya. That's the mood board. It was inspired by the Korean dynasty. The brief has been given there. That's the concept board or the storyboard, where every picture speaks about the story of your theme chosen. The lifestyle, the costumes, the ambience, the architecture, the entire field of the theme comes across from your concept board or your storyboard. That's the design analysis and a very brief research which has been compiled here, along with the images, like I said, the fabric board, along with certain embellishments which were used, with information, the design development of the sketches, final illustration, and the garments that were made. Okay, so there are a couple of questions which are here. I would like to see. Rohita asks, if I'm currently working on a project, can I include it in my portfolio? Yes, surely you can. If the project is up to the mark and if it has a lot of weight and if it is turning out beautifully, you can certainly include it in your portfolio. You can, of course, your garment may not be complete, but you can show images, a collage of yourself working on that particular project. So if you're pattern making, you can show images of that. You can dedicate that page as work in progress. So you may have your swatches which are under development. You may have your drape which is under development. So click images of you being in action while the project is in the process. You can certainly put it, and you can say the photo shoot or the final garment is awaited. But don't have too many empty pages in your portfolio. Do not leave it to imagination that, okay, my employer will know that this is an incomplete project. No, you have to make it self-explanatory. Work in progress, make a collage of all your pictures, and then write the final collection is awaited or the photo shoot is awaited. So I hope I've answered that. Okay, before I move on to some other projects, is there any other question anybody needs to ask? Feel free. Okay. I have a portfolio. Can you share some tips to make my portfolio stand out? We are not doing a one-to-one consultation right now. You can certainly get in touch with me through Instagram and we can take this forward from there. Thank you. Okay, so this is another design portfolio belonging to my student from INID at Devi, final year student, Yash Bagri. Again, an impressive portfolio which I would like to share. Okay, so this is the cover page, which mentions the portfolio, the name of the student, the institute's name, identity, and the academic year. You may find me repeating these elements again and again, but these are very important factors which I do not want you to miss out on. This is his design philosophy. Basically, he is very much enchanted by two very contrasting elements which are always into existence. So this is the brief which he has written about his design philosophy, and the image shows exactly what his philosophy is all about. Two contrasting sides of nature. About the brand, this is the brand name which he has come up with, YAS, Yas, derived from his own name, Yash. That's the artwork, which was approved after showing me a lot of options. That's the merchandise, the packaging and the labeling with the logo, the box and the main label and the tags which goes on to the garment has been showcased along with its dimension. One of his important project, which was, I think, sent for the Lakme Fashion Week for the Launchpad platform. Gully Boy was his inspiration. Streetwear, the season has been mentioned, the color palette has been shown. A brief research along with the design analysis. Texture development, images of the actual swatches that were made, fabrics which were used, design development. I must tell you that these are the design development which has been filtered out after making 3 times more designs. So I usually make them do about, say, 50 odd designs, from which we select about 10 or 15 designs for your portfolio, for your project, which are neatly presented like this on proportionate sketches, either digitally or hand-drawn. And from this design development sheet, we choose the final 5 looks or the final 5 for your final collection. So the process is intense, it's deep, it's tedious, and a lot of hard work goes in. Style number is a must. As the final illustration. This is another project with a little brief, yin and yang. That's the mood board. The design development, sketches shown in detail, proportionate sketches, very important. You cannot have sketches which are not in proportion. It may look, make your designs appear wonky. As the final collection, which has been illustrated. These are all digital sketches. These are not hand-drawn. That's the garment which was made. That is Yash, modeling for his own clothes. This is an ethnic collection. Design development. Menswear is what he has designed. The flat sketches, the technical drawings, along with the design details. This is the final collection, how it looks like, the colored sketches, illustrations. That's yet another project, Amphitrite, fall, winter, streetwear fashion. This is a storyboard, design development, footwear which he may have designed and which he has clubbed with this particular collection. This is the lingerie. DDs for that. Illustration for the same. This is what he has done as a freelancer, where he has designed the entire poster for a particular client. Like I said, you can include any of your freelance work. The logos which he has designed for a particular client. His own personal artwork, what he paints on the canvas, has been showcased out here. This is his final graduation collection, Into the Future. Artificial intelligence is his inspiration. There's a little brief about it. The storyboard. The prints that have been developed digitally. This is original designer's work, not really acquired from anywhere. You really don't need to copy anything. Once your mood board is in place, everything is in your mood board. You have to make sure that you spend enough time looking at your mood board. Your mood board is going to speak on its own. It is going to give you all the directions, and it's upon your creativity as to what you make out of it. DDs. The illustration, he chose to show his illustrations without the actual fashion figure. So it's an interesting change from what we usually see with the croquis. And that's the final collection, which was made, a set of 2 garments, menswear, and that is his seal. Okay, we have one more question. How to select a theme when I have so many ideas for my portfolio? Yes, this usually happens when Our creative rush is so high on energy that you want to work with n number of themes and n number of topics, but you need to streamline it. Like I said, you don't need to clutter your mood board, or you don't need to showcase to the other person that you're quite uh, confused, or rather not clear as to what is the theme that you want to work with. You need to maintain a rough pad, you need to maintain a sketch pad where you can definitely make that as your idea bank. I always encourage this to each and every student of mine, that always keep a little pad with you, a little notepad, or a little sketch pad where you can keep noting down your inspiration. Inspiration can occur to you anywhere and everywhere. It can be at a time when you're traveling, it can be at a time when you're sleeping, it can be a time when you're bathing, it can be a time when you are out for a social outing, for a dinner, or mountaineering, or on a holiday. You never know when what grabs your attention, and what is going to take your attention, and what may take you towards a beautiful design process and give you an end product of garments. So always keep a note bank with you, or an idea bank to maintain for yourself. Click a lot of pictures on your phone. That will also give you a lot of reference to go to when you're actually sitting and processing your ideas. Is mind map of theme necessary? Absolutely, it is necessary. So you write down your theme, you shoot out all your ideas, you write, okay, say for example, my theme is the forest theme. What can it have? It can have rough textures, it can have unfinished edges, it can have jute as a material to be used, it can have uneven hemlines. So whatever comes to your mind, note it down. It's very easy for an idea or concept to just simply slip out of your mind. So we don't want to miss out on that. So best thing is to keep noting down, keep your notepad, keep your rough pads, or keep your sketch pads with you at any given point of time. So I hope that answers your question. How much time are we left with? Okay, we do have some 45 minutes. Okay, I'm going to be sharing some more projects, which are very, very impressive projects. I definitely want you all to take a look. Okay, this is an ex-student of mine who's doing really well in the industry. Her name is Nupur. Dharani is what she has named her collection. This has been inspired by a mythological character. So this was a theme which was given to them, mythological character, and you need to come up with an ethnic collection. So here you can see, if I may just go into detail here, the inspiration is Shiva, his entire costume and the personality which is there, very ferocious, of course. So the tiger has been shown as well. The beads have been shown. She has transformed them into pearls, not the Rudraksh beads. The animal print is shown here. The wrap, the drape of the costume has been shown with the fashion sketches out here, and the color palette, of course. So this is how you work around a particular theme. The swatches and the prints, all these prints have been developed by the designer. Each and every swatch has its own detail. The fabric surfaces which has been used has been showcased. These are the DDs. She chose to give her design developments the print direction as well, so that it is easier to comprehend, along with the style number and the color palette. A lot of drapes. So beautiful collection with style numbers given to each one of them, and a brief description as to what this garment is about. This is the final illustration. Everything is digitally done. Nothing is hand drawn out here. All right. This was Nupur's graduation collection. but it does not have the pictures of her garments as yet. I don't know why she's not added them. So this is the inspiration, Audrey Hepburn, 60s styling, and she designed a collection of the outerwear, the rainwear, jackets. It's a storyboard, all about the personality. When I said famous personalities, that can be also a part of your theme selection. The research, which will always be supported by pictures, sketches, and the script. Fabrics which has been developed. She has worked with resin effects. These are all the textures which was developed by the designer. Alcohol inks were used. These are the DDs or the design development. Everything beautifully shown digitally. The silhouette, the description, the fabric direction. So this is yet another method of showing your DDs. Final illustration, colored sketches. 2 garments were made and she actually won the launch pad that year of this particular collection. Okay, so we have yet another query out here from the student. Will it be a good decision to wear one of my collections for an interview? Absolutely, yes. You must wear what you create. If you are not convinced of wearing what you create, how will your client be convinced? So it's always nice to wear your own creations, be confident and be happy to wear what you create at any given point of time. You must. It's a good gesture. It speaks about your confidence. It speaks about your choice that you've made. So like you must have seen in so many projects which I showed you, in Suhail's portfolio, the entire portfolio had the feel of the black, blue and silver kind of a color story. A lot of evening wear was designed. When you saw Yash's portfolio, it had a lot of menswear, a lot of anti-fit, a lot of streetwear kind of clothing. Nupur's projects had a lot of detailing in terms of the drapes and stuff. So at the end of it, you need to understand that the portfolio must speak about the designer's personality. I'm sharing a few more, which I want you to see. This is a very impressive project, again by Ms. Nupur. This was a uniform collection that was designed. The inspiration. The collection was for the police, uniform collection. Again, a mini project where there's a mood board shown, the design developments are shown, and the details of each design has been showcased, and the final collection, colored sketches. So these are all brief projects. Be Wildered is another project, and the swatches have been shown. Design development, very detailed sketches, digitally done. Final illustration. Now, this is a specification sheet, which you can definitely show in your major project. Specification sheet along with the costing of the garment. Very important, because this shows that, okay, this garment was practically made, and it is a project which went live right from the idea to the final product. So all the garments which were made, you have to show the spec sheet and the cost sheet for the same. The photo shoot of the garment. That's it. Okay, so I think more or less I have shown quite a many projects. I would like to show one of my second year students' work, which is again very, very impressive. Give me a moment, please. Is the screen visible? Is the project visible?
Not yet.
Give me a moment, please. Is it visible now?
Yes, yes, it's visible. Yeah.
Okay, so this is the second year students' work, the final year's work. The storyboard and the name of the project has been shown along with the season. So this is the Sikri art of using a particular grass in a weave and how products are made. So that's the storyboard. It has no fashion images. Please, I hope by now you know very well how a storyboard is different from a mood board. Okay, that's the fabric board. All the fabrics have been showcased. The embellishments which were used, the materials which were used, the textures which were developed, the design details, the design development, front and back, along with the style numbers. Final illustration and the garment photo shoot. Okay. All right, so that is all that I have to show from my students' work and their projects. I hope it has given you all a fairly good idea as to what is the quality of work that is required for a good fashion portfolio, be it at a student's stage or be it at the in your working career. So now there is a very important thing which I want to point out is that when you are switching your jobs, when you have already worked in the industry for a year or two and you want to jump, you will have to tweak your portfolio. So like I said, if you are going to be approaching a menswear brand, you are definitely not going to show a women's ethnic wear collection, right? So you need to plug that out, and maybe you may have to introduce maybe a new project which you think will be of good interest to your recruiter. Say, for example, if you are going to be working with Tantra, the brand which makes those t-shirts with a lot of graphics, you can introduce very smartly, you can introduce a 2-page project. I'm not saying make a very elaborate project and give up 4 nights and 5 days to come up with that project. Just give a 2-page project where you have made a particular print, a digital print, and you're showing me color options in that particular print, and the different placement of the print on that particular basic round neck t-shirt. So what is it that you as a designer are doing something new from what is already existing in the market? How differently are you going to be showcasing prints on a particular basic round neck crew t-shirt? So that is what is going to make you shine or stand out in your profile among the other students or among the other candidates. You have to hit that nerve when you are going for an interview to a particular employer, knowing you have to definitely study about that brand. You have to know how old that brand is, what is the style, how many seasons do they have, how often do they come up with their sales and promotions. You need to know everything about that company before you go for the interview. Okay, that definitely marks a beautiful impression onto the employer. Next is that you have to maintain the same style of font and the same style of croquis as well. You cannot have a very wide variety to show. But as far as your student's portfolio is concerned, you can definitely overshoot more than 50 spreads. 50 to 60 spreads is what you can very happily show into your student portfolio. But the same does not stay with when you have to show a professional portfolio, when you have to go to seek a job. Anything else that anybody needs to know? Which is your favorite theme and why? My favorite theme has always been nature. I am always enchanted with everything that nature has to offer. It could be a ripple in the water, it could be a fallen leaf, it could be a worm, it could be the mountains, it could be the sky, anything and everything that the Almighty has created. It definitely grabs my attention, and I don't have to go very far to fetch my inspiration. So my inspiration is always all around me. I make it a point to get inspired, maybe even by a dried twig or a dried branch for that matter. So there is lots that nature has in abundance that one can get inspired from. And that what literally is the core of my designing skills or my designing style. So that is what you can see through my digital art, which I create on my Instagram handle, which is Archana Nagpal Designs. And I have also embraced a new method of, it's not a new method, but it's definitely a new craft, which I have learned in my lockdown days. Macrame is the art which I have learned and I have evolved, and I have come up with my own brand of accessories, which is called Knotted with Love by Archana Nagpal. Do peep in to take a look at my work and also to be in touch with me. I would be very, very glad to help you, to guide you, to share my experiences with you through our chats. So thank you very much. Is there anything else anybody needs to know? I would be happy to take up the questions. What if I only display my work and explain the rest of the process during the interview? No, that's a lot of talking that you will be doing. Nobody entertains anybody who has to talk so much. Your designs have to be self-explanatory. That is why we give the space for a little design brief. And your designs will speak for itself. You don't have to keep narrating as to what. Yes, you can definitely emphasize if you have put in that extra effort or introduce a new technique of developing a texture or developing a print or an embellishment or an embroidery. You can certainly talk about it, but you cannot talk everything about the project, everything about your inspiration during your interview. So let the recruiter go through your project, and if he has a question, you should be happy to answer. But do not barge in and do not really give unnecessary information which may not be wanted to be heard by the recruiter. Little tips about how to present yourself at an interview. You need to be in fuss-free clothes. You cannot be handling your clothes while you are at the interview. Wear comfortable, crisp clothes, wear ironed clothes, very important. Wear clean footwear. Make sure that your hair is very well in place. You cannot be talking with your hands in your hair at all times. Wear minimalistic makeup. You need to wear a little bit of makeup to look a little more presentable. There is no need to feel nervous. You have to feel confident, and you have to wear a beautiful smile on your face because you are happy to talk about your work. Your work, your portfolio speaks only about your passion and your desire and your intention of your designs. You cannot feel nervous about it. You need to be extremely confident. You can have a rehearsal in front of the mirror or in front of your parent or your sibling or your friend, and have these kind of rehearsal interviews before you actually go for the final presentation or the final interview. So be confident, wear your confident up your sleeves at all times. And you need to know that you are in a profession which is very close to your heart, which is very, very inspirational for your own self. Nobody has really pushed you to study design, right? I'm sure that none of your parents have actually poked you and pushed you and insist that no, you need to study fashion because I think that is what your direction is. Design and fashion or interior or product designing is everything which is very self-motivated. So if you have chosen your path on your own, you need to enjoy the entire academic process. Trust me, these academic years are never going to come back. you will never be able to give time to develop your portfolio as much as you do in your educative years. It is very difficult to find and squeeze out that kind of time at a later stage when you begin with your working career, with your working schedule. It is very, very difficult to squeeze out that time and develop your portfolio. So the make most of the time, make most of the technology which you have at the moment on the platter for you, and work really hard and work very intricately. Take a look at every detail. There should be no spelling errors in your portfolio. It has to look crisp, to the point, and extremely impressive. All the very best to each one of you. May you all have a very bright future. All the very best.
Okay, wow, what a lovely session, Archana ji.
Thank you.
So, this was a journey for 2 days. It's a very less time, but you have covered a lot of, and just say I have mentioned in the start that the sunshine from you that brighten our brains of the students. So,
Thank
on
you so
behalf of
much.
Ideal, I am thank you so much. I am very glad to welcome you on this board. And जितना knowledge आपने आज दिया है, we are very happy to see you on this the portfolios and the insights of the projects, and we are thankful to that. Thank you so much, ma'am, for coming today.
My pleasure. Thank you so